It's a good story. You ready, Pam? Okay. I think it was about 9 or 10 years ago. And
Early 90s.
The early 90s, and Pam did not look like this. She had bright flaming red hair and wore combat boots, and she was very cute. So about 10 years ago, there was a friend of ours, a mutual friend, who worked at City Ballet in the special events office, and she was one of Pam's dancers. And she said, oh, I'm having this show down at Pace, and you should come and see Pam's work and meet her. Pam's piece came on, and it was the most original piece that I'd seen in a long time. It was very refreshing. Her company back then was very different than it is now, and her choreography was also very different. Her choreography now is very refined. Back then there was this just organic originality that was really vibrant, and these personalities, and it was these 5 Jewish women with plungers dressed as maids dancing
plungers.
to Aretha Franklin. So I was like, this is for me. I love this. This is great. So, and Pam hates that piece. She's like, please don't talk about that piece. It's not what I do anymore. But it was so cool. I just thought it was really amazing.
So 10 years later.
10 years later.
We're here.
Here we are.
Audience, there's a couple things you need to know about this dance you just saw. One of them is that it's dedicated to a person, Viola Farber, who was Pam's teacher at Sarah Lawrence and who was a great Merce Cunningham dancer.
Yes.
The other thing is that Viola Farber died tragically and recently. So what I want to ask you is, given those facts, what is this dance about?
Well, a couple things. When I first started making it, I had 2 things in mind. One was I decided to give myself a year to make the dance. I knew I wanted to make something for myself and for Viola, and I wanted it to include some of the things that I learned from her.
You have a very particular style of movement, which is both formal and something else.
Personal.
Personal.
And this is a way that I generate movement, which is inversion, which is I take a phrase that I have and I simply reverse the movement, not the steps, but the movement. As an audience member, it's not important that you know that that's an inversion. What I strive to do is, when you're looking at the dance, that it all just makes sense to you, that it feels correct, that it's all there.
I want to ask our composer, who wears several hats in this evening. He's also the husband of the choreographer.
Yeah.
And
It's true.
it's true.
The cat's out of the bag. The intersecting point was, I guess, a few months ago when I got together with the dancers with a rough tape, and we had a very wonderful moment, which was that the amount of choreography she had done fit in exactly with the amount of music that I had done.
Now that's a marriage.
Unbelievable.
And
You're like, this is it.
And we didn't have a lot of room for error because there was a baby on the way, and you know, we wanted to get it finished.
Pam, on the way in, I found out a very shocking secret and surprise about yourself, which is I was checking in upstairs at the security desk, and they said, did you know that Pam used to work here? I said, well, what do you mean work here? You actually did work here.
I worked here. I worked at the front desk for 3 or 4 years, and then I was the box office coordinator as well.
Yes.
I spent about 8 years of my life working here. So.
Now,
Yeah.
and so welcome back to the Guggenheim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Remember this, but I met you a year ago here,
Yes.
and I asked you about the piece that they made, and I said, what was it like? And you said, I don't know, I didn't see it, I was conducting.
I saw the feet.
Right, well that's what inspired me. You said to me, I just saw feet moving around, and the whole first section of the dance is it's very heavy petit allegro, but it really, that was my first inspiration for the piece, where they're hung over, and it's a lot of fast footwork, and that was kind of my first kind of way into the music, was just that image of you seeing feet. The piece works two ways. One is that it's based on the music and structured. I either embrace the music, evoke the music, ignore the music. I kind of treat it in different ways throughout the piece, but the other piece of it is that it's also about memory, storage. There's movement in the piece that I've used in other dances. It's not necessary to know that, but I know that. So it comes from a lot of different places. And there's also a slightly theatrical element to it as well, that it's kind of new for me in my work. I was sitting in a meeting with Mrs. Cronson, and she said, "Okay, Pam, I'll put up a show, but let's do something interesting. Let's do something a little different. Maybe I'll put up a show with, you and some other choreographers." I said, "Okay, what about Brian? I really like Brian. I like his work. I know that she's produced him before." She goes, "Okay, Brian's good, and you guys figure out somebody else." I said, "Okay." So I called Brian. I told him the deal. He said, "No other choreographer, just me and you, Pam." I was like, "Oh, okay, let's do it." And then so it started out as, we were going to collaborate, but what was that going to be? Was it going to be two separate dances on a program? And we thought, let's really try to do something different here. Let's put it together. Let's really figure out how we can make the work together.
The intention wasn't her do a half hour and I do a half hour. I was already sort of brainstorming that we should do this unique collaboration. And, I thought that would be a unique opportunity for us both to step out of the box. And it has been, and I'm really pleased with the results.
I think that we also had ideas of what we didn't want to do. We knew we didn't want to just juxtapose modern and ballet, point you, we didn't want like a pointed foot, flexed foot smackdown, or anything like that. We wanted something more thoughtful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really took the music and I just started listening to it, and it's extremely challenging. I really thought of myself as a detective and trying to just make my way through each section. There's so many changes in the music. It goes from crackling to screaming to beautiful melodic areas. When I first heard it, I loved it, but I said, how am I going to do this?
Woman of truth, astronomer, magician, priestess. With a tablet of lapis lazuli, she measures off the heavens.
The piece is separated into 4 sections. When I first heard the music, I thought that I would make 4 different dances, totally different dances with different costumes, and it was a trick. I tricked myself into starting because I couldn't get a handle on it, and then I just made my way through. We dance to the music, we ignore the music, we listen to the music and then move, or we make decisions. Do we move and let the music change before that?
So it's a kinetic response to things you hear?
Yeah, we just try different ways and make decisions.